Richie Davison's work, that you can measure at least certain unusual qualities in meditators with more than 10,000 hours of experience. So,
Yep.
in theory, if you have built the right biofeedback device, a lot of the sidetracks that we all typically fall into in meditation possibly could be avoided, because rather than having to go to your teacher and discuss it and work through all the things that happen when people just have to find a vocabulary to discuss things with each other, instead you just have a machine that's showing you, hey buddy, you're on the wrong track, and oh wait a minute, now you're really getting it, right?
Yes.
That could
Yes.
be something. And certain, there's some question, of course, how far you can take it, but at least for getting
Yes.
some of the first order, right? That seems pretty good.
Yes.
But where else do you see? Where else do you see that technology and could be a support to practice?
Yeah, I mean, there's, at least at the moment, there seem to be a lot of ways that technology could be an aid in some of the traditional things that are already done.
Mm.
Like, very simply, you've got basically ethics, meditation, and wisdom as kind of fields of training traditionally, and kind of underlying that is the understanding that you're doing that in a community and that you're being supported. So there's a lot of ways that I'm already seeing people connecting virtually, being supportive to practice, in the sense that no longer are they limited to having to study with or practice with whoever's in their town, which may or may not be a good fit with their inclinations or their kind of views of the world or whatever it might be. It might actually be a bad fit and not support their practice. Whereas now you can sort of seek out and find virtually almost any sort of subgroup of people who are pursuing things in a particular way. And of course you could say there's possible downsides to that too. People like sort of grouping around a particular ideology and not challenging it themselves.
Right.
But then there also seem to be a lot of benefits because you feel part of a real community that's has a shared aim and a shared kind of a methodology. And I've seen that for myself, and then also for many others, where they get benefits from that virtual connection. So that's one thing that's possible now through Skype, through different social learning technologies, social platforms. And then we have this explosion of the mobile internet and the Internet of Things, mobile computing, and I think there's a lot that can be done using those platforms to support and aid people's contemplative development and practice, even now. And then looking, sort of toward the future, there are things on the horizon that are frankly pretty crazy, like, full immersion, audio, visual, virtual reality, brain-mind interfaces, which are being worked on right now in labs. There's a huge growing kind of body of knowledge about the neuroscience behind contemplative practice, like you mentioned. And then there are a host of other, sort of technological developments, which, when they become mature, I think are going to combine in ways that we can't really predict. And I suspect artificial intelligence being another, where, as we go along, I can see technology being able to aid people more and more and more, kind of in the same way that the Industrial Revolution started making certain things automated, and then we could focus our energy on other things. I think technology might help with respect to contemplative practice in the same way. It might make certain steps, the initial steps, much easier, and then get people to a kind of a further edge. But that's an unproven hypothesis. But I've seen it. We've seen it happen in other fields.
Sure.
So contemplative practice is another field, and I don't think there's any reason to think it's special or a non-ordinary or different than every other field of human knowledge.